The Travel Transformation Podcast is proud to be partnered with Give the Goodness Global, an amazing global outreach project helping families in need all over Southeast Asia and beyond. Please check them out at Instagram.com/Give the Goodness Global today. And now on to the podcast episode.
Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast that explores the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply want to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, travel transformation coach, founder of Flip the Script Travel Transformation Services, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. My name is Jessica Grace Coleman and I'm your host, and today is a solo episode because I wanted to talk about a trip I went on last week. And it is travel related because I physically had to travel there, even though it was only London, which was a couple of hours on the train, a little less. But it's also very much about transformation, so I wanted to talk about it while it was still kind of fresh in my mind. And the event I went to was called Expert Empires, which is an event for business people, for entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs. And I hadn't actually heard about it until I got an email from one of my online mentors who I love, Denise Duffield-Thomas. She's a money mindset mentor from Australia, author, podcaster. She has her money boot camp, some other stuff. I really like her and her message. And when she sent out an email saying she'd be in London, I was like, ooh, because she is very introverted. She loves being at home. She doesn't leave Australia a lot. So I thought this would be a really good chance to go and meet her. And she also said in the email that the first 50 people to buy a ticket through her link would get access to a private VIP breakfast with her at the Hilton. It was held in the Hilton, Wembley. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to go. I'm probably not going to get another chance to meet her unless I go to Australia. So I got the ticket and I booked my hotel, not the Hilton, the Premier Inn down the road, only 4-minute walk, still pretty good. And I booked my train. And I decided to go on my own, which is not a big deal for me because I solo travel a lot. But there were also a lot of other people going on their own who posted it in the Facebook group. There was like a Facebook group that you could go in beforehand, introducing themselves, saying they were going on their own and asking if they could meet up with other people. So this reminded me a lot of traveling because solo travelers will go online to things like Facebook groups and see if people are in the area. They'll go on like solo female travel groups, or they'll join an app or a community of other travellers, and it's a really great way of meeting up with people when you're travelling solo. So that part reminded me of travel. And actually the whole event kind of reminded me of co-livings that I've stayed in, because there were people there from all over the country. There were people there from all over the world. Like Denise was from Australia, one of the speakers was from America. There were loads of people from mainland Europe and Ireland. So you were getting to meet people of all different backgrounds, at all different levels of their business, with all different kinds of businesses from different countries, and they were all there to learn from each other and network. It's just like a big co-living, but only over 2.5 days instead of several weeks. So this really reminded me of traveling, and it also reminded me of my own transformation, because a couple of years ago, I don't think I would have attended one of these events, and I definitely wouldn't have attended on my own. And obviously it's all about learning from the speakers. There were a lot of speakers. They do try and sell you stuff, but you kind of know that going in, because as a business person, you know about funnels and marketing funnels and getting people at the top of the funnel. And this is just part, the Expert Empires event is part of their funnel. Like the end point, the end goal is to get people to sign up to their masterminds, which are a lot more expensive, but they sound really good. And a lot of people get a lot of value from it and have gone on to earn loads of money. It wasn't just about money though, it's all about income and impact. That was the message over the whole 2 days. But so you go in there knowing that it's a funnel, knowing that it's a part of the funnel, knowing you're going to get sold to. But there's also lots of other speakers, so much value if you go in with the mindset that you're going to learn. and that it's not just you're going to sit there and be sold to. Like, that does happen a bit, but, you know, it's inevitable at these kind of things. And he doesn't do the whole, like, crazy, run to the back of a room and sign up right now, otherwise, like, something terrible is going to happen to your family. Like, it's not that kind of selling. It's just mentioning their offers amongst all the speakers. Anyway, there were loads of good speakers. There was Denise Duffield-Thomas, who I think a lot of the people there didn't know who she was, but now they do. And she was such a breath of fresh air. Like, it was about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We'd been at the place since 8 that morning, networking and being spoken to and making notes and talking to people. And it was a lot. I was very tired. I was already tired from, I got there the night before and I met my friend Susie. We went to Covent Garden. We had some nice food and wine at this wine and cheese bar. Very nice. And then walked around Chinatown, had some dessert. Then we went to Covent Garden, which I love. And we went to the Punch and Judy pub there, which I've never actually been to, which is weird considering the amount of times I've gone to Covent Garden. But it's, sort of a ye olde pub that was, actually quite cool. Anyway, so I was quite tired from that, but when Denise came on, she had such energy about her. She was so lively. She was so funny. She was like a stand-up comedian that just happened to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire, talking about business. One of the things I really loved, she was chewing gum, and she sort of was like, oh, I better take my gum out. And she sort of spat it out in a piece of paper or mist or something, and was like, oh, that was really gross. Sorry about that. And she was like, we call our little girl Feral Cheryl. I can't do an Australian accent, I'm sorry. When she does stuff like this, and she's like, that was a really Feral Cheryl moment. Sorry about that. So I'm going to use that now. If I do anything that's a bit weird or a bit gross, I'm going to be like, sorry, that was such a Feral Cheryl moment. Anyway, it sounds better in an Australian accent, I have to say. Anyway, she really got the energy in the room up again. And she talked all about money mindset, money blocks, how, you know, the guilt you can feel around earning more than certain people in your family or your friends, all the ceilings you hit, especially as women, when it comes to money, all the things we learnt when we were little by hearing adults and TV shows, hearing people say stuff like money doesn't grow on trees and another day, another dollar, or like, don't pick up that money, it's dirty, money is dirty, or, you know, complaining about wankers driving fancy cars. Like, all this stuff gets embedded in our brains without us even realizing it. And especially as women, there's this thing called the witch wound that she talks about quite a bit as well, which is sort of like generations and generations of, probably not genetics, that's not the right word, but, you know, it's sort of ingrained within us. If you go back to like the Salem witch trials and stuff like that, that if you're a woman and you speak out, or you're all different in any way, you'll get hanged, or you'll get stoned, or you'll get labelled as a witch and burnt at the stake. We've grown up with knowing these things from history, and it's just embedded in our sort of subconscious, and it's really fascinating stuff. Things you might not even realise, the money blocks you have. Maybe someone said one thing to you once and it's just stuck with you, and you just haven't noticed, haven't realised it, and it's hard to get to the next income level when you have that in the back of your mind, and maybe you don't believe that you should be earning that much. This is nothing to do with travel, but I'm going off on one here. But she told the story of how when she first got a speaking gig, and she gets paid a lot more now, believe me, but she got a phone call saying that she would have a speaking gig and it would be an hour and she'd get paid 500 Australian dollars. And she was with her mom and she hung up and she was like, oh my God, I'm going to get paid $500 for an hour. And like, her mom didn't mean to make her feel bad about it, but she sort of said, her mom was like a nurse. I'm not sure if she was in a care home, working in a care home, something like that. And she was like, $500, that's my weekly wage. And that was what she earned every week, doing really long, hard, grueling hours as a nurse, doing that work. You have to put up with a lot of stuff. It's really hard mentally and physically. And that just stopped Denise in her tracks. And she was just like, who am I to go out there and literally speak for an hour? And she was an introvert, but she used to get told she was speaking a lot at school, which is the exact opposite of me. But she was like, how dare I get paid to do something I would do anyway and something I enjoy? $500 for an hour when my mom has to break her back working for a whole week to get the same amount of money. And it's just stuff like that that stopped Denise from going after more money or, you know, making more impact because of the guilt that was around that. And things like that are really, really interesting to me. But it has a happy ending because Denise is now like a multi-millionaire, and she not only retired her mom, so her mom can do whatever she wants. I think her mom's still quite young. She also retired her husband's mom as well, so that's really cool. Anyway, I went on a massive rant there. Anyway, so there was Denise there. Joe Wicks was also there, the body coach, if you know who that is. He did PE with Joe all through the lockdowns in the UK and got really famous and just helped a lot of people. And you could see how many people he helped just by the response he got when he came on. He was the last speaker on the last day. And he didn't do a prepared speech, he just did a Q&A. And literally everyone who stood up and asked him a question thanked him first because, like, especially if they had kids, he helped them get through lockdown. Not just the physical aspect of exercising and keeping healthy that way, but having a routine every day and doing something fun with your family and trying to remain positive and upbeat during a terrible time. And you could just tell what such a nice guy Joe Wicks is. To be honest, I didn't really know much about him before this. I knew he was the body coach. I knew he did the PE with Joe thing. I have to say I didn't do that during lockdown, but maybe I should have. I didn't know all about his other stuff. He's got so many like cookbooks and other books that he's doing. And he's just such a genuine, nice, authentic guy. It's just really warm, really kind, really helpful. And that just came across so much. And, you know, the whole event was about marketing yourself, marketing your business, getting your message out there. And, you know, people kept asking him all these strategic questions about, like, what's your Instagram strategy? What's your social media strategy? And he just kept saying, like, I really don't have one other than, you know, being consistent. He was posting, like, every day and just being himself. And the fact that he was so kind and warm and he just wanted to help people, that really just came through all his content, and it comes through him in real life as well. And people really respond to that. You don't even have to do any marketing. People will just realise that you're a really great person trying to do good in the world, and they will support you. So that was really nice to see. Also, a couple of points. This whole Expert Empires thing has been going on for like 5 or 6 years, and it's run by this guy called Nick James, and he's actually a Brummie. He's from Birmingham, which is near me. And it was just really refreshing to have someone introduce this thing, and he did quite a few sessions himself on like business strategy and marketing. And it was just cool to see this guy from Birmingham who has really put himself out there in creating what he's created. And his whole story is that he wanted to create an event and he really wanted to get a high profile person there. And he wanted Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V as he's called, who's a really famous business guy. And he did a wine blog or a wine TV show. But he also does all kinds of things. And then he went into business marketing, motivational speaking, all that kind of stuff. And he basically did everything in his power to get a one-on-one meeting with Gary, which he did kind of by accident. He wanted to go and see him when he did like a book signing in London, and it was sold out. And then one of his friends happened to have a free ticket and asked, you know, people to message him with the highest bid, and he'd give the ticket. And because this Nick James guy had helped this guy, when he messaged him and said, how much do you want for the ticket? The guy was like, you can come for free because you've helped me so much. So he went along for free, and then they did like a raffle. And so he wasn't even meant to be there. And he won a one-on-one session with Gary Vaynerchuk through this raffle. And then it was at that session that he asked him if he would ever come and speak at his stage. And he told him his business model, and then Gary V was like, this just sounds like a way to get people's money without giving any real value. You're better than that. It should be about the impact you make, not about your income. And there's a quote like, it doesn't matter how much money you make, what matters is how you make it. And basically Nick James went away, figured out what he wanted to actually do with the event, managed to raise the money in like the most random ways. He went into it all in detail in his speech, and then actually got Gary V to come over. And his fee is, or was, $100,000 per talk, might be a lot more now. And he would never normally go to like this unknown event that some random person's just put on because, you know, there's no history of showing that it will sell or anything like that. But he came because of the meeting he managed to win randomly. And because he got Gary V at his first event, he then went on to get all kinds of amazing people, like Marie Forleo was there last autumn. I really wish I'd known about it because I love her. He's had all kinds of people on. He's had Alan Sugar on. Obviously he pays these people. They're not doing it just for shits and giggles. But the fact that he can get these kind of high profile names just because he started with Gary V, and the amount of effort he put into doing that was just really, really cool to hear.
Are you ready for adventure?
Are you ready to become location independent? Are you ready to create your ultimate dream lifestyle? Then I have just the thing for you. The Flip the Script Academy with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. My online academy, which is bursting with life-changing courses and resources, is for anyone who feels stuck in life, wants to make a change, would like more meaning and purpose in their life, wants to shake things up, especially after the pandemic, wants to start or grow a business or side hustle they can run from the road, wants to incorporate travel into their lives in all kinds of different ways, or is simply ready for an epic transformation. For more info, just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now, back to the Travel Transformation Podcast. The breakfast with Denise TT was really cool. I managed to meet her the day before just before she went on stage. She was at the front on the stage. There was a few minutes, so a few of us went over and had a selfie and stuff. And then the next day we had our breakfast in the Hilton, and it was just really cool. Like, I was sitting at this table surrounded by women. All 50 people were women, because that's like 95% of Denise's audience are women. And I managed to snag a seat on the table where Denise was sitting, because there were quite a few tables. And so I just got to sort of hear her talking to people just normally while she had a porridge. And she is a multi-millionaire. She's in the process at the moment of selling her house for I think it was 13 or 14 million Australian dollars. And she was just talking casually to other people who were selling their houses or who were in the property business. And it was just so normal. She was so down to earth. She was talking about crazy amounts of money, but other than that, all her issues were the same, talking about contractors and stuff like that. And it was just really interesting just to see, she's just one of us. But she's just happens to have made this amazing empire for herself and her family, and it was just really inspiring. And the other woman I was sitting next to had just come back from a week-long retreat, a mastermind retreat on Necker Island with Richard Branson. We asked to see her pictures. She was there in the hot tub with Richard Branson. I was just like, these are the people I need to surround myself with. These are on another level, but they're still just so down to earth and nice, and they really care about the impact they're making, not just the amount of money they're making, which often results in making more money because people can tell that you want to actually help people, and the more money you make, the more people you can help. So it was just a really cool thing to go to that breakfast and get to know some people. And also, have you ever seen one of those tray robots? Because one went past. I've only seen one in the wild before at a restaurant in Cambridge when I was visiting my friend Vicky. But it was sort of stationary. It wasn't doing anything. It was just sort of hanging out next to the manager. I think she was the manager of the place as she was doing the books on this random table. But it kept blinking. And as I went past, and it has an actual face. It's just a robot where you can stack plates and stuff and take it to the kitchen. And I was like, oh my God, the robot's so cute. I even named it Pierce Trayson, after a character from the Neighbours TV show, Pierce Grayson, who was played by Tim Robards, who was in the Australian Bachelor. Anyway, I saw a tray robot at the Hilton, and it was following one of the waitresses out. And I got so excited. I think I got more excited when I saw the tray robot than I did when I saw Denise. No offense to Denise. But I was like, oh my God, look at that tray robot. It's so cute. And then it trundled past when it was full of plates and stuff. And the waitress was nowhere in sight. And it was just making its own way back to the kitchen. And I was like, oh my God. ChatGPT and stuff, all the AI things, super cool. But what I'm really impressed by is a tray robot at a kitchen in the Hilton. Anyway, I also want to talk about, I think there were a few kids, and when I say kids, teenagers, at the conference, including this 14-year-old guy who was there with his mom. I talked to them a bit in the lift. And then he asked a question to Joe Wicks. I think he was asking a question about, I think it was something about how teenagers can avoid giving in to the pressures of social media, or something, something really interesting, intelligent question coming from this 14-year-old kid. And Joe Wicks replied very nicely. And I was just so impressed that he was there. And he didn't seem to have been dragged there by his mom, which I initially thought might be the case. He was actually really interested. He was learning all this stuff. And after the event, because I followed all the speakers, I was on Instagram, and this kid's profile popped up, this 14-year-old kid. And it looked like he's just started it. But some of the videos, like the reels he posted, were of him asking questions to some of the speakers. It was Nick James, the main guy, and then another speaker, and he was asking them really intelligent questions about business, and he posted them on social media. And I loved his profile description, like his bio. It had a few things, but one of them was budding entrepreneur. And if I'd started at 14 and like immediately went to events like this and started learning all this stuff, I can't even imagine where I'd be right now. So good on him. So it said budding entrepreneur, and then it said future millionaire. And I was like, yes. Okay, I shouldn't do the clicking thing, but I was like, yes, this kid is amazing. So I was really impressed by that. And I'm now following him on Instagram. So I'm really interested to see what he'll do and if he goes to the next one. And I've already booked to go to the next Expert Empires because I know I will be in the country in November. It was also really interesting to see just how many people were making money with things you would never think you'd be able to make money with. Like he did a panel interview when he was trying to get people to sign up to the mastermind. And it was several people from his current mastermind, people who had like gone from 0 to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures. I forget which one this was. He has a few masterminds. But there was one guy who was like a tree surgeon, and he'd made, I think, 6 figures from a tree surgeon or tree surgery masterclass online. There's also a lady there who everyone seems to know. I think she goes every year, or it's twice a year. And I remembered her introduction from the Facebook group, and she was also featured in a couple of the presentations as like examples of marketing gone right. And she is a bee consultant. Like she consults people about bees, and she is killing it. She's amazing. She's like really gone for it with media and publicity. She is making a lot of money, and she's doing something really useful in the world because obviously we need the bees. People aren't educated about bees. Like I know the vague idea around bees and how we need them, but I don't, know all the details. So she's doing something really good in the world, but also something that you would never think you'd be able to make a lot of money from. So just going to these events and seeing how people are making money, doing things you wouldn't think would work is so inspiring and really gives you permission to just try things and see what happens. Even if you think what you're doing is a bit weird, like a lot of people don't understand what I do. A lot of my friends are like, what? Coach? What? But you can literally make money doing anything these days if you're passionate about it, if you know your stuff, and if you have the confidence to put yourself out there. Yeah, I also met a lady there from Stafford, which is my hometown, and I never really meet any sort of entrepreneurs from Stafford, so that was cool. And we talked for a bit, and she's also a coach. She's a self-worth coach, and she'll be coming on the podcast soon too. So networking at its finest. So I'm going to stop rambling there. This isn't an ad for Expert Empires. I just happen to really enjoy it. And yeah, I just want to encourage people, no matter what work you do, to go to these kind of events because I think they can be transformational. See how I linked that back to the travel transformation stuff. But yeah, seriously, even if you don't go to any of the talks, which, is the whole point, just the networking. Like I didn't even try and network that hard. There was a few people meeting up the night before, which I didn't go to because I was meeting my friend. And there was an Expert Empires party on the first night, which again, I didn't go to because I was by 8 o'clock when it started. The speakers had just finished being at the place since 8 that morning. And I needed to get up early the next day to go to Denise DT's breakfast. And I was just absolutely wiped out. So there was no way I was going to that party. Actually, I considered going for one drink, like on the way out. But I was sort of walking towards the bar where it was being held, like it was a sort of separate room on the same floor, and they started playing this really loud music, and I immediately veered away from the doors and headed to the lift because I was like, I'm out too tired for this. So even though I didn't do the two main networking things, like you just meet people, like I got there at 8 to register that day, and the speakers didn't start till 9 or 9:30 the first day. So I was talking to people then. You talk to people during the breaks. There are lots of breaks. During lunch, I talk to people during the breakfast. Just when you're sitting next to people, you talk to them, exchange information, follow them on Instagram and stuff. So it's a huge networking thing. And if you don't have much confidence and you're sort of quite quiet like me and introverted, it can be a great way of getting outside your comfort zone and just talking to people and meeting people. And there's the bonus of you learn a load of stuff too. And even with the networking and the stuff you learn, I think the main thing you come out of with these kind of things is just energy. It's motivation. you sort of get caught up in the hype and you see how many people are being really successful doing things they love and helping people, and you want to go and do the same thing. Especially with this event, because it's every 6 months. I think it's a really good marker. You can go back every 6 months. A lot of the people there are returnees, so you'll know some of the people again. And also it's a good way of like marking how far you've come in the last 6 months, because we often don't stop and look back and think about this stuff. But it's a really great way to measure it. Like, but when I go to the next event, I'll be able to sit there and think, what was I doing when I came to the last one 6 months ago? And what have I achieved since? And how have I implemented the stuff I learned? And how have I made use of the connections I made since last time? And hopefully, the idea is every time you go, you'll realise that you have gone to the next level. You've had a big success, or you just expanded your network, or something came out of it, and you'll be able to make note of it every 6 months. And that you just leave with a lot of motivation. I left so pumped up. I was getting excited over the prospect of signing up for a customer relationship management software, which I did because they gave us a really good deal on it. But I was getting excited about the idea of a CRM. That is just not something that I thought that would happen to me. So I obviously got caught up in the hype. But no, it really is. It just gives you so much energy and so much excitement about what you're doing, if what you're doing is something you love, obviously. And yeah, I would highly recommend, no matter what industry you're in, I'm sure there is a similar event. Just Google it and go, because you might have to travel to it, and you're probably going to transform in some way, or your business will transform, or your fitness will transform, or your social life will transform, or whatever kind of event you've gone to. I just wanted to record this while it was still fresh in my mind, and let me know if you've gone to any industry events that you've found helpful. If you know of any travel ones or any business ones, please let me know. I went to the World Travel Market last year in London. Yeah, please let me know of any you know of, no matter where they are in the world, because I travel quite a bit. And, one more thing. Opposite the Hilton in Wembley, there's an Amazon Fresh store, which I think is called Amazon Go in America. And it's the first one I'd seen, because I'm a country bumpkin and I don't hang out in London a lot. There's quite a few in London, but I'm not sure if there's anywhere else in the UK yet. But it's one of those ones where if you have the Amazon app on your phone, you can scan a code outside from the window, and it's like a QR code, and then it comes up with your own code on your phone. You use that, you scan it to get into the shop. And then once you're in the shop, there are no tills. There are a couple of staff members hanging around, if you don't know what you're doing, because I didn't know what I was doing. I went there were a few ladies from the Expert Empires event, older ladies, trying to figure out how to do it, and they were like asking me, and I was like, I have no clue, I've not done this before. But yeah, basically you grab a bag, you grab your shopping, and you walk right out like a common criminal. But what it does is, I still don't really understand how it works, and I googled it and I read an entire article on it. Something about cameras and maybe this sensitive sensors on the shelf, or there's like an actual word for it, which I can't remember right now. But I went there twice, and twice the receipt I got on email, I think it was about an hour later, was bang on. And yeah, it gives you a little thrill because you feel like you're just stealing shit. And yeah, I don't know. It blows my mind that this kind of thing is possible. So if you get a chance to go to an Amazon Fresh or Amazon Go store and you've not been before, I would recommend doing it just because it's pretty cool. And again, I've gone off on a random tangent. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. Let me know if you know of any travel or business conferences that I should attend. Let me know if you've seen a tray robot. Let me know if you've tried Amazon Fresh or Amazon Go. And yes, until next time, thanks for listening to my rambles, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review, and spread the word if you have friends or family who also want to transform through travel. For a chance of winning one of my books in ebook form, please review this podcast on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot or just your name to info@traveltransformationcoach.com or @traveltransformationcoach on Instagram. I'll be picking a new winner each month, and you can choose between any of my non-fiction titles, including Write Your Life, Write Your Year, and Intentional Travel Transformation. You can find out more about me at traveltransformationcoach.com, where you can also get your free travel transformation guide. And until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.